welcome to GHK Radio, episode 8?
Yes, that is true. This is episode 8.
Okay, it's episode 8. Yay!
Episode 8! Oh my gosh, they have
we
hearts!
We are so good at what we do.
Listen, I'll give a heart. Hatawagiru! Boom! You guys have like automatic hearts by your face. I don't have that.
Trust me, it's definitely not automatic. It's not automatic.
What about this heart?
That's even cuter! You guys get generated hearts. I have to make my own. There we go.
You can do it.
There you go.
You can do it. There you go.
I do the best I can.
All the hearts.
You only...
Hearts.
That's right, suffer. Ha!
Hands.
Ha!
Hands.
Ha!
Hey Kai, do you need a hand?
No.
I can't do it.
That's okay. It's
Kai
okay.
cannot give his heart. Kai cannot give his heart.
He cannot pigeon for you.
No. Wahaha, suffer.
What?
Suffer.
So first episode of the new year. And you're already being mean to me. How could
That's
you?
right. It is the first episode of the new year.
It
Yo,
is.
Happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year.
We've totally said it to each other already, but Happy New Year's again.
We did.
Happy New Year's
Year
to our
New Year's
viewers.
to the listeners. Yes.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, I know by the time you're watching this video, you're already going to be like, but wait, it's been the new year for a while. But hey, guess what? Accept.
That's
First
right.
episode of the new year.
That's right. It's the first time you're seeing us since, at least. So.
Exactly.
There we go. 今年もよろしくね。
よろしくお
二人とも
願いします。明け
こちらこそ。
おめ。
明けおめ。
明けお
明けお
め。
め。
That's so cute.
I can't be bothered to say the whole entire 明けましておめでとうございました。そう
was
明けおめ。
Someone in my Discord server just like totally abbreviated everything and it destroyed me. It was the funniest thing I'd ever seen.
Oh man.
And it was like, it wasn't like silly in the case that like it was unusually phrased or anything like that. Like it was actually very common. At least that's what he said. But
yeah,
it was just like, just that was really funny. Go ahead.
I know ake ome is pretty common to shorten it to for when you're talking to your friends, at least. Because it's just ake ome.
Right here, let me see if I can find it.
I've got some friends who use that too, yeah. Although I've also got friends who just say happity to bappity, and I'm just like, okay.
Oh, I didn't. Your name's Bappity? You're Bappity?
I'm Bappity, yes.
Happity to Bappity?
Kai Bappity. Kai Bappity.
I
is rebranding.
I am of the noble Bappity house.
Kai is rebranding to Bappity.
I am of the noble Bappity house. I shall not stand such insult upon my person.
Okay, then you're sitting down, so that's okay then, right?
Brutes. So I found it. So they said, Ake ome koto yoro.
Ake ome koto yoro. Yes, I've seen that. That's pretty common. That's pretty common among friends, at least. Yes.
I love it. It's so cute.
Yes.
It's just very.
It's
very
adorable.
sweet. Yeah. So, how'd you guys spend your New Year's? What'd you do?
For most of the day, I was playing RimWorld, which is a simulation game that I've been playing a lot of. But then once it started getting closer to the evening time, I watched the newer Jumanji movies, both 1 and 2, with my parents.
They came out with a second one?
I've only seen one. I haven't seen number 2 yet.
So there's the original with Robin Williams, right?
Right, yes, my favorite.
And then there's the newer one that has The Rock in it, and then there was a sequel to that happened.
Hey, I didn't know about the sequel.
The sequel was pretty good. It was really funny, because, so in the original one, because if you've seen the original Jumanji movie, it's the Cursed board game, right? And at the start of the new Jumanji one, a guy finds the board game, and he's like, who plays board games anymore? It's all about video games. So Jumanji turns itself into a video game. Right? And at the end of the first of the newer episodes, I don't want to spoil too much, but you're given the impression that it might be impossible for the Jumanji game to happen again. But in the sequel, the new sequel, something happens that causes the game to start up again. And instead, this time, the main guy's grandpa winds up getting pulled into the game.
Lol.
And his grandpa's played by Danny DeVito.
Yes!
And he gets The Rock as his avatar.
Oh.
So you get to see The Rock pretending
acting
to be acting as Danny DeVito with him going, huh? And stuff. It's hilarious. It's so good. It's so good. I think I liked the sequel. Like, the first one was more about
reestablishing the world, kind of?
Well, like... no, like the overall theme of it was like not judging people and working together and finding your strengths as a team and stuff. That was what the first one was about. The second one was more about getting over your own personal difficulties, as well as like, because one of the characters feels like he's not living up to what he needs to be, and so he tries to escape that.
I should watch the sequel then, because like,
the sequel's good.
I saw the new Jumanji movie, and I surprisingly like it a lot.
It was
good.
A
lot of fun.
I was a little bit confused because I only caught a very small amount of it. Like I think sometime in the fall. And that was the first time I had seen it, and like by then the first Jumanji had been out for a couple years, right?
Yeah. It's been a while.
But I had never seen it. But I was already surprised at the fact, like, I could understand the idea of, like, it turns itself into a video game to, like, still be a playable medium, right?
Yes.
But I was super confused because the world was totally different.
It was not quite. So the original Jumanji board game, like, Jumanji is this jungle location, right? And so the video game location itself is also in like a rainforest jungle.
But I think in the Robin Williams ones, all the animals and the hunter and everything come out into
our world, right? So
whereas
in this one, they go to the world of Jumanji,
right?
So it's more of Digimon Frontier, not Digimon Tamers.
I actually understand that reference. I actually understand that reference. I'm gonna give myself a high five.
Hey, there you go. Good job. You just clapped your hand.
All he did was Pachi. Yeah, so that's what I did for, and then when it was the countdown, we were just near the end of the second movie when it was time to do the countdown, and so we paused and we got all the family members together in the house, and we all poured our drinks. I went with Mom Diem, and we had gotten fizzy wine, because it's only champagne if it's actually from the Champagne region of France, and we're not that fancy, so we just got the fizzy stuff that's essentially champagne, it's just not from Champagne, France. So we got that, and we all said cheers, and then people down our street were lighting off, like, the really big fireworks. Same.
Exciting.
So that was exciting, and so we went outside to watch some of those fireworks, because they were really, really cool, and my neighborhood's relatively flat, so we could see the fireworks really, really well.
Nice.
And while they were setting them off, we just shouted down the street, "Happy New Year!" And everyone who was outside, which were more people than we expected, all shouted "Happy New Year" back at us. And it was
that's
really,
so cute!
It was really fun.
That's an anime moment.
Right?
That's
You
so
just
cute.
open the door. So cute.
Aww.
So cute. I was like,
So
wow,
cute.
I do live in Canada.
Everyone's so nice. They just shouted right back.
Yeah, it wasn't any like, be quiet or anything. It was just happy New Year.
Shut up! Thankfully not. Oh, that's so
But
cute.
yeah, that's what we did. What did you guys do?
Kai, what'd you do?
It was in contrast to DM's New Year's. Mine was relatively quiet. With the whole lockdown pandemic going on. Normally every year, like, I'm usually over at a friend's house and we're all just having a little get together, having a little party, etc., etc. And then I'd call my parents at midnight. But because we don't get to go out this year, I spent it at home.
Okay.
And even the celebrations we watched on TV were like very tame. They were like little concerts being filmed, but without like a live audience. It wasn't like a huge party. Even the fireworks displays had like little, they had little disclaimers that were like, oh, these are pre-recorded from previous years, kind of thing.
Aww.
So it's like, it felt a little bit like lonely, but I was there with my whole family. We were like counting down in front of the TV. It was like a very, very modest celebration among my family because we spent like the past 2 days before that playing mahjong for like hours. So we've had enough of each other at that point.
Understandable. Oh. I still have never played mahjong.
Same. I will have to teach you guys one day. We should do GHK plays mahjong at some point.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. That'd be cute. You could beat the heck out of us, right?
Probably. I won't doubt it.
Kai just wants to destroy.
Kai is like, finally, my Riwengi.
My Riwengi, it's my time, yes.
It is my time. I am the super villain, Kai. It's your turn. There you go.
Yeah. For the most part, a lot of my friends were also kind of like spending time with their family and stuff. So I was on the computer by myself. I'm like leaving everyone messages like "Happy New Year, Happy New Year."
I got one of those.
Nobody responded because they're all busy. And then I saw Hikaru. I saw Hikaru and Ouya in a call together. So I jumped in and I was like, "Happy New Year's," and they weren't there.
Oh.
And I was like, oh. So I logged onto VR chat, and a lot of people were on VR chat, and I was like, wow, I can say Happy New Year's to them there. And then VR chat crashed.
Oh, no.
Apparently, it was like record-breaking numbers on New Year's Eve.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Because no one can go anywhere. What else are people going to do?
Exactly. They were like, oh, during New Year's Eve, it was like over 30,000 people logged on, and the servers were like complete potato. So it crashed before I could really say anything. And I was like, oh. And then, like, I guess everyone had their family time about 5-10 minutes after midnight. It was just a flood of messages. My Discord was just like, and everyone was like, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. I was like, hey!
Yeah, mine took a little bit to get back to because I was of course watching and like hanging out with my parents, and then once that was all done, then I could go online and be like, Happy New Year to everybody. So I was sending Happy New Year messages at like 1:00 in the morning to some of my friends, and by then it was already like 4 a.m. for people. I was like,
same.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't blame anyone. Everyone was doing their thing with their family. That was fine.
Yeah.
It's just my household doesn't have huge celebrations like that. We usually have like a nice dinner, and we're done our festivities at like 10. So
yeah.
And then the countdown was just like, we count down the year together. We all hug. We did the thing where we linked arms and span around a little bit.
What?
Like an old children's cartoon. You know, when they like link da 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 da.
What?
No?
Where they like, it's like a swing your partner round and round, right? Where you like have, you
something
like link elbows, right? And then you kind of you turn around. Yeah.
Oh. I guess I'm small, and everyone else in my family is like a lot more energy than, well, a lot, not so much energy. I have a lot of energy, but everyone's like taller than me, so I don't really have the opportunity to do that because they would have to bend over.
Yeah.
That'd be cute,
we're
though.
all, even the shortest in my family is like relatively tall, so
Must be nice.
we all hugged. We all was like, Happy New Year's, oh my gosh, and then it was no bad words for 24 hours.
No bad words?
Yes. My mom is a little bit superstitious.
Yes.
And she feels it is bad luck for the year if you use any bad language on the first day. So, my brother, being an online gamer, and me, by extension, had to go 24 hours without using any bad words. So that was like, she's always really strict about it.
Did little bro follow along with that?
He didn't last 24 minutes.
Oh no.
Knew it.
I did okay. I used a lot of heck. that day.
Heck is such a versatile.
It is.
I like
Meeting Girl DM in 2020 really saved me 2021.
Heck.
Heck. Although meeting Harune too is also a highlight of the year.
Thank you.
Oh.
Likewise. For so
Both
many
of you-
Fuendos this year.
Both of you are a big part of my life now, and I'm trying to get my camera to head pat DM, but hand dumb.
Just looks like he's trying to choke her.
There's no head pats for you.
Pat.
No choking.
It's Paps.
He's slapping your
Harune?
neck.
He's smacking my neck. Can't breathe.
Harune, how was your New Year's?
Yeah,
It was nice. So, as I feel like I've explained this maybe once or twice on my stream, but I have a small group of friends. Like, I think together we make up like 5 people. And we've been friends since high school. And every year we've always done 2 gatherings over like the holiday break. So one of our friends, his birthday is right before Christmas. And so we'll get together between Christmas and New Year's, and we'll do like a belated Christmas / belated birthday party sort of thing.
Okay.
And then we'll meet again shortly after that, like the following week for New Year's. And we've always hung out on New Year's. So we went to that birthday friend's place, and we had all like monitored each other's quarantine more or less. So we're just like, are you okay? Like, what did you do? Did you go out and do something? Like, are you safe? And blah, blah, blah. Monitor your health, monitor your temperature.
Right.
So we were all safe. We were all fine. So we got
one of those
together.
like safe social bubbles where
Yes.
you like
Okay,
monitor
there you go.
responsibly. So
Yes. And we were all part of each other's bubble because we had met the week before. So we met up New Year's, and we, I don't know, we just did like, we just played like a bunch of games. We played, water pong and, Cards Against Humanity with like a totally updated deck. So it was much, much funnier. Like, I had forgotten how fun Cards Against Humanity can be. Because like when the first like main deck came out, it's just, you see it over and over and over again. It becomes kind of,
that is true.
kind of repetitive. But this deck was like all new, or at least cards that like none of us had seen before. So it was like, I don't know, it was really funny. I had a great time. And then, we all, we did the countdown together. We said Happy New Year to each other. Got to say Happy New Year to Kai.
Yeah.
Hello, it's me. I'm
Yeah,
Kai.
You're Kai.
Wish each other Happy New Year, Akeome. And Kotoyoro.
Akeome.
And then so like immediately after we did the countdown, we just like helped clean up, and then we all like went our separate ways. Like we all just went home.
Oh.
So like we were
All done,
we were
all
home.
finished.
Yeah, exactly. So like we were home by like 1:30.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was super tame. And like what's funny is that we didn't even like decide on it. Like we weren't like, hey, we're all tired, we should go home now. Like it just like
It was
totally
just-
unspoken. After we counted down, we're like, hey, do you need help cleaning up? And they were like, okay, yeah, sure, you guys can like grab this. And so we all just like helped clean up with stuff, and then we
Aw.
left. It was super, like on the way home I was like, wow, no one said anything. Like no one questioned it. It's just
It was
that we
just,
did.
everybody was like, okay, we're done then.
Exactly. And then the next day I met up with 2 other friends from high school, who, and like we went,
so many friends.
I know, we went out to lunch though, which like at first I was really uncomfortable with, but it was in an outdoor tent, and it wasn't like, and I've seen how some restaurants handle the outdoor, like the eating outdoor situation where they like put out
Yeah.
a tent, but then the tent has like closed windows and a closed entrance, and like what's the point? Like this is just another enclosed building, but just removable, right? But this one actually had like an opening, like an actually open opening so that air could flow in and out, and then each table had its own little igloo, like a bubble. So
Fancy.
so yeah, and then each bubble was also open for like open airflow. So it was really nice. Actually. And it was like nice big tables, so like even each of us could like have some safe distance from each other. So it was really good. I was pleasantly like not uncomfortable.
That's nice. Remember to act responsibly in these times of pandemic.
Yes.
Wash your hands. Social distance.
That's right. I heard, speaking about like just social distance and, following pandemic orders and things like that, I was watching this YouTube video, and it's totally unrelated to anything else we were talking about, but I just have to mention this because I was a little bit blown
Yes.
away.
Yes.
but I was watching this Korean YouTuber who I guess she's a mukbang channel, but it's not like
I like mukbang.
But like for her, I think she's just a big foodie. Like I really don't think she's like doing it for the aesthetic. Like I think she just genuinely enjoys food and just eats a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But she in her videos, like in the subtitles, just likes to give updates on like things that she's interested in, you know, how the pandemic is affecting her corner of the world. And she said that like as people are growing more and more frustrated with the lockdown, because they're in a sort of lockdown right now too. Restaurants are still open, but like it's very, I don't know, it's very strict. I'm not quite sure what the regulations are, but there was one regulation that she shared that cracked me up. She said that like you can drink at a bar, like inside a bar until like 8 or 9 p.m., but cafes are closed.
Yeah. Oh, that's
and I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. What does that mean? Like, you're so much less cautious when you've had alcohol in your system. Like, how could that be allowed?
That doesn't make much sense, but okay.
Exactly. So I was like, oh, that's weird. So I just had to share that. That just blew my mind. But anyway, yeah, that was not my topic at all. I just wanted to catch up with you guys.
No, that was just New Year's greetings. That was just New Year's greetings.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Kai, did you go first last time? I don't think you did.
I'm gonna be honest, I can't remember. I don't know. As soon as we're done recording, my mind just blanks out of what we talked about.
Same.
We spoke for a bit. Something happened. I don't remember.
I had a good time with friends, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
Specifically, I always try to remember like what the topic is long enough to remind Harune what the topic is while she writes the description.
Thank you.
So
I always
remember
forget.
for about 4 or 5 days at max, and then after that, it's just out the window.
I always forget. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. I've got the memory of a goldfish. Yeah. So, Kai, do you want to go first today, or should we just start the new year fresh GHK order?
I'm fine with either way. DM, do you want to go first?
Wow, Kai, I'd love to hear you go first.
All right.
Alrighty, kicking the new year off. What? Kicking the new. Oh,
cooking Kai. We're
Forget
cooking Kai up, everybody.
You're actually funny you say that. You're not wrong.
Oh,
my topic's about cooking.
Cannibalism. Kai's topic is about cannibalism.
My topic is actually about cooking. I gotta start the new year right. Deet, if you're in the comments, we are going back to food. Everything starts and ends about food.
True.
But actually, as per usual, my topics come very last minute because of one thing that either of you has done in the past week. Did you know? Actually, hopefully, if we're on time with the release of this episode, if you're watching this now on the day of the, what do we call it? Preview?
The premiere.
Premiere, that's it. If you're watching on the day of the premiere, did you know it's the last day or so, last couple days, that you can get $80 off at HelloFresh by using the code GIRLDM80 and free delivery.
Only in Canada.
Only in Canada.
Thanks, Guy.
Right. But
Shill for DM.
You had your well, at the time of recording, I just recently saw your second cooking stream with regards to the HelloFresh, and we actually had that little tea party stream with Pending not that long ago.
We did.
And so I wanted to get back on the topic of cooking in general, since it seems all of us at least have done it. It's something inclusive I could talk about for all of us. But the question is twofold. What is the first dish you remember ever having cooked? And what is your favorite dish to make? It doesn't have to be your favorite dish to eat. It doesn't have to be your most well-received dish. But what was your favorite dish to cook? It could have ended in failure. It doesn't matter. Like, it was an experiment. But the first thing you ever made and your favorite thing to make.
Ooh.
And I'll start, since that would give you guys time to really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the first thing I ever made on my own, and by that I mean like I had parents kind of looking over my shoulder.
Yeah.
If we count baking, was actually a lemon curd cheesecake.
Ooh, fancy.
I like making those.
This was in elementary school. Actually, this is the timing appropriate because it was for a Christmas party.
Oh,
Okay.
cute.
And it came out, I thought, oh, because it's going to be for a party, I need to, like, you know, expand on the recipe so more people can enjoy it.
Uh-huh.
But because I took the bottom crust and the cheese layer from different recipes, they didn't quite ratio up properly when I, like, tampered with the how many times to make of it and all that. So the crust came out just fine, but the cheesecake layer on top was actually not very thick. It was a very short tart. Cheesecake tart, let's call it.
Oh no.
That sounds good, though.
And tart indeed. I might have had a bit too much lemon zest in it because
Ooh.
it was not unpleasantly sour, but when you're having cheese and you taste sour, it kind of throws you off a little bit.
Yeah.
So probably having lemon and cheesecake to start was like not a good first attempt at something.
No, that
but
sounds really good
that
to
was
me. I feel like I would have really enjoyed that. Sorry, continue.
Oh, no. That was just the first thing I ever remembered making on my own.
Cute.
My favorite thing to make, though. Favorite thing to make. I want to say it's okonomiyaki.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, I've actually made it twice in my life, and it's not the best thing I've ever made. I have a lot more success making curry, but every time like I can't quite shred. For people that don't know, okonomiyaki is kind of like savory Japanese pancakes. You can kind of call it.
Cabbage pancake.
Yes, you shred cabbage until it's very fine and stringy, and then you kind of mix it with a batter. Usually that involves yams and other very viscous substances like okra, so that it kind of becomes really thick and sticky. And then you just kind of like press it together into a pancake, you fry it, and then you put whatever you like on top of it. Kind of as toppings.
I need to observe how you make okonomiyaki because your description there does not match what I've been taught.
Oh, but I do know okonomiyaki has regional differences too.
It does.
Some places definitely need to include noodles in the mix. Some places definitely do not include noodles. Some of them like mix the noodles in. Some of them have it on top, and etc. etc.
The base form that I've always known is that it's not. The base form is the general batter and cabbage. That's all you need. So I've never actually had ones that require you to have yam or okra mixed in, so that's interesting.
Yeah. For ours, it was like the base was cabbage, flour, dashi stock, and then like you had to like kind of shred okra until it becomes. You actually kind of like mortar and pestle it until it becomes like a sticky white kind of paste.
I've not had that way. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that was the recipe I learned, and it was just one I found online, so... I usually just topped it with whatever local I had on hand, so, like, a fried egg, some ham. Like, what I was told is that okonomiyaki basically means whatever you like pancake.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. That's... Okonomi means, like, something, whatever you like, essentially. Okonomi.
But I really enjoyed the sauce. Like, having okonomiyaki sauce, which is, like, a nice, deep brown, kind of like a soy sauce color. But then, like, you put white streaks of mayonnaise on top, and then you get a draw on it, and that part's always my favorite.
Yes, I like that a lot.
So, I mean, I've not had much success with it. My batter tends to be a little thin. My cabbage tends to be chopped a little too thick.
Okay.
But, it's fun. It's tasty. It's tasty enough for, like, cooking for myself. Or, like, I made it once for my housemates, and they were like, they were satisfied. They weren't entirely impressed, but they're like, this is good, I guess. But yeah, so that was the first thing I ever made, and my favorite thing to make, just because it was like, it's so involved, but it's like nothing particularly difficult. It's like, you get to feel like you're really busy. You get to feel like you're doing a lot, even though a lot of it's relatively easy to do. And it comes out looking, even if it looks bad, it comes out looking not too bad.
Yeah.
And would either of you like to take a turn next?
Yeah. I think I'll tell. The first thing that I can actually remember making was I made vegetarian meatloaf with my mom.
Ooh,
and
fancy.
I think I was 7 years old.
Oh, early.
Because that was when I got my first cookbook, and the cookbook that I have, I still have it. It's a very old cookbook that my mom got when she was like 7 years old.
Wow.
And it's a whole bunch of recipes. It's really basic, like Western style recipes and everything. And that's what I've always that's when I first did it.
That's so cute, though.
I don't think I made that cake until I was like 12. 7's quite an early start in the kitchen.
Well, because my mom is of the mentality, like, my mom's the type of person that when you have she has a list of what chores are doable based on age range for people. So, like, you wouldn't necessarily tell a 5-year-old to do the dishes, but you could hand a 5-year-old a washcloth and teach them how to wipe surfaces down.
Right.
So we have like stuff like that, and cooking was one of the ones that Mom had suggestions on, like on that. And so cooking, you can do that from there, right?
From 7?
If I send my brother over to like DM boot camp, could your mom whip him into shape?
Sure.
He's in his 20s and he like doesn't even do his own dishes. It's terrible.
Oh no. Yeah,
How embarrassing.
We had all those. What else? As far as when it comes to food that I like to make, my favorite thing to make is cheesecake.
Nice. I do enjoy a good cheesecake.
Yes, I like to make cheesecake. I have it's completely and utterly destroyed now, but we had a Philadelphia cheesecake calendar that every month had a different type of cheesecake.
Yo!
And it had the recipes listed on it. So I actually have a scan of like each one of those pages because they were all really good ones. There was like a double chocolate one. There was a white chocolate swirl cheesecake. There was a citrus one, which I like to make a lot. My very favorite is the one that I liked the very, very most was there is a trifle.
Ooh.
Cheesecake trifle.
Oh,
and it's super duper, it's one of the ones I like to make a lot because one, it's super duper easy to make, and two, it just tastes amazing and it tastes even better the second day. And if you haven't had a trifle before, a trifle, pretty much you just like layer stuff. So the way that the cheesecake trifle works is you get pound cake, which you can just buy in the freezer section. You get pound cake and you add so you have the pound cake, you cut it into about like inch thick slices, and you layer that on the bottom of a big bowl. Usually you use like a clear bowl so that you can see the layers because it looks really cool. So you have the pound cake, and then you have berries. So you can either use strawberries or use like a berry mix. So we usually use a berry mix because we have a whole bunch of blueberries in the freezer usually that we mix up with other ones. And then you layer those berries, and you usually make like a sugar syrup to mix together with them just so you have like a little more wetness to it to soak into the pound cake. So you layer that, and then you make a cheesecake whipped cream.
Ooh.
So it's very dense, but it still tastes very much like cheesecake. It tastes really amazing just spread on toast, too. We usually make extra so you can have some for toast.
Yo.
And then you layer that.
I'm so jealous right now. Oh my god.
And then you get chocolate sauce, and you drizzle the chocolate sauce across the top of that, and then you repeat with the layers of the pound cake. And then, so pound cake varies, the cream cheese frosting stuff, and then chocolate sauce, and then keep layering that until you hit the very top of your bowl, and then you cover that entire top layer with the cheesecake stuff, and then you shave chocolate pieces on top too, so you have like little chocolate curls, and you let it sit for at least an hour in the fridge so that all the flavors can all settle together.
All that layering makes it kind of sound like makes it kind of sound like a parfait.
It's kind of it's like
family serving parfait.
It's a giant. It's just a massive parfait. Imagine it just being like a massive parfait.
Right. There are actually trifles. There are trifle dishes, or like trifle. I don't know how else you would call them, but they almost look like they're almost like ginormous wine glasses.
Yes. Yeah. Oh. It's like that.
So it still has like the neck, and it still has like that circular glass piece at the bottom to keep it stable, but like. It's all made of glass, and it kind of comes out like a wine glass, but it's really wide and very circular, so that like DM explained, like you can do all of those layers, but you can see each layer through and through, and it's just one of my family members made a trifle once for either Christmas or Thanksgiving, and that was the first time I had actually had a trifle, and oh my god, it was so good. It was so good.
I love trifle. It's
in my head. I was thinking of truffles the whole time, like the chocolates.
No.
Have you had a You had parfait before though, yeah?
I've had parfait, yeah. So in my head, it's just a big kind of like family-sized parfait.
Giant parfait that you scoop into a bowl, and then it's absolutely delicious. And
it's a parfait to share. How nice!
Exactly.
Now parfaits are usually made with yogurt, right? Like it's a fruit yogurt.
Usually it's like fruit, yogurt, and granola, and if you get them in Japan, usually they use cornflakes.
Okay.
I've had it in Japan. It was really nice.
Okay.
I've actually had what's the New Year foods called? Like osechi?
Osechi is the arrangement of New Year's food, yes.
Yes, I had an osechi parfait on New Year's.
What?
It had like kind of like this black bean that was like soaked in a sugar syrup.
Yeah,
it had
the
like
sweet black beans.
candied chestnut. It had like all sorts of little assortments on it, like a bit of mochi, all on top of like a green tea infused cream on top of like you said, cornflakes, and then yogurt and granola and berries, and it was like it was really nice.
Wow.
And, sorry, since you brought up cheesecake, I don't mean to derail my own conversation, but I'm just out of curiosity. Cheesecake kind of has two major variants, right? Like the New York Western style that's kind of more dense. Yeah. And Japanese cheesecake, which is more light and bouncy. People tend to call it souffle cheesecake. Do you guys have a preference between A or B?
I like standard New York cheesecake.
I don't have a preference.
You're right. You're not as adventurous with dairy as DM is. You're right. That was a terrible question to two people who are lactose intolerant. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. Well, the main thing, so the Japanese cheesecake, like the texture of it's really interesting, but the taste is kind of
not there.
It's like you can taste a lot of the egg white in Japanese cheesecake.
Mm-hmm.
So
I also always recommend to people, like, if they like the texture, that's fine. But if they don't, leave it in the fridge for a night, and it kind of denses up. You get a bit more of the cheese flavor come out. But
yeah,
again, I was not thinking. That wasn't really an appropriate question for you two. I'm sorry. What about Harune then? Let's hear your cooking adventures.
Oh,
Chef Harune.
I think the first thing so I don't really know what came first. So when I was a kid, Mama and Papa Rune both would work Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And when I was in late elementary school, so like 6th grade, and maybe a bit through middle school.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe 6th and 7th grade. At that, I would always sleep in, right? Like, I wouldn't wake up until like 1, 2 o'clock, maybe even 3 p.m.
You
And
still
so
do that sometimes, but all right. Go
Um, so
Harune
Mama and
getting
Papa
called
Renee would be like, okay, well, she's just gonna sleep all day. And then around like 4 or 5 p.m. is when Mama Renee would come home, and then like 6 or 7 p.m. was around the time Papa Renee came home. So it was like I really was only alone by myself for like an hour or two. So they really didn't mind leaving me home alone. Now I know this must have been around 6th grade, because that was when I started getting into Naruto.
Oh,
So
Okay.
I had
we
had
are
sort of
fighting
discovered-
dreamers, 高め目指して fighting dreamers.
Anyway, so during that time, like on a rare occasion where I would wake up like really, really early
Mm-hmm.
and realize that Mama and Papa Renee are gone, and it had like dawned on me one day, I was like, I could just spend my day watching Naruto. And so
Oh my gosh.
so what I started doing
Oh.
is I would wake up really early and listen for my parents to leave,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would go watch Naruto all day until Mama Renee came home.
Oh
Um,
no.
So during that time, because Mama and Papa Renee always assumed that I was asleep, I, was left to my own devices when it came to food. So I would I think the earliest thing I ever made myself was, I remember like the Campbell's, either cream of mushroom soups or the tomato soups.
Okay.
Right? And it really wasn't much. It really wasn't much. It was just like, open the can, put it, I think I used to use the microwave actually. So I was like, pour the soup into a bowl, and if you wanted it creamier, so it wasn't, you couldn't always just use the can. You always had to like add an extra can full of
Water
or milk. So I always
Oh
used
yeah,
milk.
yeah.
Yeah, so it was just like, and then like sometimes if I was feeling creative or I didn't want to make a mess in the microwave, I would use a stovetop. But that kind of taught me like, how to watch the pot, like to tell when something is boiling, you stir it constantly. So like around that age where like, especially after that, like Mama Renee is very much the queen of her kitchen. She does not let anybody touch anything, because if you're not doing it the exact way she would have done it, it's wrong. So
yep, my dad's the same way.
yeah,
Yep.
so when she's in the kitchen and she's cooking and stuff like that, you can quote unquote help, but like it usually just ends in argument. So
Yeah.
it was actually a very, very long time until I could actually start to do things on my own in the kitchen, and it had to be something that she knew nothing about. So like the first thing that I did like purely by myself was bake chocolate chip cookies, because she doesn't bake at all. And that
there you
I
go.
think the first time I baked cookies was high school. Yeah. And then I didn't start to cook until I moved out. Yeah. So I feel like that says a lot. But yeah, the first thing that I ever really felt like responsible for with my own foods was just like canned soup. But to me, it was a big achievement, because I was by myself working a stove. So yeah, yes,
I mean,
that's
that's still something. I mean,
I think so. And like, over the next year or so of Mama and Papa Renee working on Saturdays and me binging anime. So like this went for a long time. And it wasn't just like once I got all caught up with Naruto, it would be like every Saturday I would wake up, watch the newest episode of Naruto, and then I would binge a whole another anime series at the same time. So like at that time I was also watching Bleach. And I think that was around that time I like watched Negima,
Negima, oh my god.
Oh my god, I know,
my
right?
God.
Oh my
Chobits,
nostalgia. The nostalgia's hitting.
yeah, I think it was like Peachy Pitch, just like weird, like Tokyo Mew Mew, like it was that
Yeah.
age and stage in my life. Kamitama Karin, like
Man, thinking back on Negima, that's one of the ones that if you like look at that nowadays, you're kind of like
that would
in the glory days of the reverse harem.
Yeah, but a child.
Yeah. Why do all the women like this young man who is
he
like
is 10 years old?
He's a little guy. At least what was the one with the guy that's taking care of the all women's hot spring?
I don't know that one.
Kai
knows which one I'm talking
I
about.
can't remember the title, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that one was like around the time of Negima. I remember one of my guy friends being like, no, this is completely normal. It's just about a guy who's taking care of a hot spring. And I like read the first couple books and I was like,
wasn't it? It was by the same author.
Is it? I wouldn't be surprised. I was just like, my friend gave me the books and I was like, you are a liar? Oh my gosh.
Yo.
This is not just a guy taking care of a hot spring. This is a guy having encounters with women that come to this hot spring.
No, that makes me recall something. Oh my god. Okay, I don't remember the name. No, I do remember the name. Kashimashi? Does that ring any bells for anyone?
I don't know that one.
So this
Girl
more
meet girl, Kashimashi?
kind of, except okay, so it's this boy and he's like kind of doesn't have a whole lot of self-esteem. He doesn't really take care of himself because of it. But he's really good friends with these, I don't know if it's these two girls or this one girl in particular, and he like goes to confess to her. I think she either gives him like a non-answer or she turns him down. He gets like, sad or whatever, runs away. He goes to this like hill or whatever that's been like sort of like a childhood hangout spot, and he gets hit by this alien spaceship, and the collision to this spaceship changes his gender. So now he gets like smacked into being a woman, and he's got to like relearn like how to live his life as this like cute anime girl now. And
oh no.
the girl that he tried to confess to and like this other girl now are both into him, but into her or whatever.
Yes.
I couldn't understand the premise. Like I was so confused. Like my middle school brain could not like comprehend this very well. But I do have like a distinct memory of one of my classmates like in my math class or whatever. So we didn't even like have a lot of classes together. But he was reading the manga and he like,
oh no,
he was like talking about it and he was like very, very seriously. He goes, when I finished it, God, I cried so hard. Like he was so serious about it, but he was talking about like how he just would like wept for this character. I was like, what? I don't know. I mean, if it hit you in that way, if it hit you different and you felt deeply in tune with it, then that's fantastic for you. I'm not judging anybody whatsoever, but like middle school me was like, I'm sorry, what? Like what was that? But yeah, I wanted to know because that was around the time where like I was getting into like, well, that was after Negima, but it was like the first time I had encountered Fruits Basket, and like it was just sort of the age of that kind of manga and anime, like Rosario Vampire.
Rosario!
Oh, that was
my gosh, Rosario Vampire! Oh my goodness!
Yeah, Vampire Night, and like it was just that age and stage. You know what I mean?
Was the onsen one? You guys talked about Love Hina? Was that?
That was it. That was
okay.
it.
Love Hina was done
Love
by
Hina.
the same
guy who
author
didn't
as
Negima.
Wow.
I'm not surprised. I just remember like I had 2 or 3 guy friends that were really into Love Hina, and I guess their parents just didn't pay attention to what they were buying. They're just like, "Oh, you're reading. I'm so happy."
Right. This looks cute, unassuming and cute. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they like lent me the books because they're like, "No, it's completely normal." And I was like, "Excuse me." There's this is all fan service. This is a lot of fan service.
Shugochara was also during that time too. Shugochara?
Shugochara, yeah. Shugochara, like that's another one that you like look back at it and you're like, she's in elementary school. The cat boy is like graduating high school.
It's anyway, Kai, what were you gonna say?
Yeah. I don't know, like my mistake, the mistake of choice of my youth was Ranma 1/2.
I love Ranma!
Ranma and Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Tsubasa, that was a frustration trip for me. Oh my gosh, no manga has made me more frustrated.
The anime
Chronicle.
was okay. The anime was digestible. The ending of the manga, oh my goodness, that was
the
that was a story.
I was so mad.
That was
I
certainly
have
something.
strong feelings. My Gaia Online account still has Fai's jacket on it and Kuro's headband thing.
Oh,
right. That was
I had both of
that was
those, yeah.
huge during the
I
Gaia
had
Online
Van
time.
Fennell's vest from Escaflowne for my Gaia account.
See, during while
Gaia,
Tsubasa was
Gaia
like
Online collab when.
never, you'll never see me on my account ever again.
I have to. I log into them every now and again just to see where they're at and see what my price is at for some of the items that I have.
I don't log in. I just Google my
legendary
username
now?
and I look at my own profile without logging in.
See, I never
have
got
some-
into Tsubasa. I just did XXX Holic. That was so much more my
Holic.
jam.
I couldn't get into Holic.
But Holic ties into Tsubasa.
It does, but
Yeah.
it's way more like comprehensive.
Individual. Except
Yeah,
for the
and
ending
it
on
does
that
stand
one. The
alone.
ending on that one too was kind of just like, clamp, at it again. Clamp, at it again.
Yes, exactly. But I thought the storyline was just, I don't know.
Yeah, the
I liked
stories
it.
were really cool until the
Yes.
ending.
The movie was good if you've ever seen it.
I have not.
I think that one was called Midsummer's
Clamp
Dream.
kind of breaks my heart a bunch because I'll get really, really into their series and then they'll make me really frustrated.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
That is fair. I'm sorry, Kai. I feel like I interrupted you like 18 times. What were you gonna say?
No, it's okay. I'm living for this. You guys are so excited. I'm happy with this.
It's just like I don't think about these mangas much.
Right. Like I'm going through a whole nostalgia trip of all the things I like grew up on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like there's all like the really basic kind of like all boys have read it kind of like what was it? To Love Rue and stuff like that.
I've heard of that one. But
Oh
never
my
saw
gosh,
that.
To Love Rue is another one of like all of my guy friends. They definitely had like they were smack dab in the middle of the fan service series. That's what they really liked
yeah, yeah.
because like
That's
they
another
liked
era,
To Love
yeah.
Rue, and then there was the one with was it Ichigo 100%?
Oh, that one was a series. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
I feel like all the ones I remember very fondly though. Like,
which one was the
people don't
one
know,
with
like,
the
how
the
niche.
which one was the one with like the thug guy that became the girl's hand?
Oh! I know what this. What? Midori something, I think.
Yeah, Midori Days.
Midori Days.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one. I remember that. Oh, I
Yep.
remember that.
Yeah, my friends were also very much into Midori Days, and there's just like so many a series that I'm like thinking back now that I read that I shouldn't have been reading them probably, but boy oh boy, they brought the books to school and I
You're
just took them
right.
in my backpack and read them.
Right. Yes, that's how it worked. It was like a manga exchange.
Yes.
You're just like,
yes,
oh, you've
it
never
was.
read this? It's so good. Take it and read it. And you'd like be at home reading explicit manga that you like don't even know you shouldn't be reading.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
oh my gosh.
And then my friends, we would also do the because USBs were not big enough to hold like an entire series on.
Right, it's like 1 gig
So-
or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I would buy CDs, writable CDs. I would buy like big packs of them, like 50 packs of them, so that I could give them to my friends who were torrenting things,
Mhm.
so that they could give me anime.
Oh wow! I had friends making me like mixed tape CDs, like with
Yeah,
like
yeah, I had
various
some of those
anime
too.
openings and endings and stuff.
I had some of those too. I had one guy at school
I've done that.
just I don't remember, he didn't give an actual name for himself. It was just D. He called himself D.
Wow.
And I found out later it was because he really liked Vampire Hunter D.
Oh.
And he had like every single anime of that time. He had all the music.
wow.
Like, he had everything. So he made me data CDs because the regular playable CDs could only hold like a limited amount. And he would make me data CDs with just so much music. That's how I first started listening to like Para Para music and Happy Hardcore. Because he had all the speedy remixes for everything. But
He was a savant with LimeWire and Napster.
Yes, LimeWire.
Yep,
Oh my god!
I don't think it was past Napster days.
Okay, so like LimeWire.
It was past LimeWire. He was just like straight up torrenting. I don't know.
Oh,
I mean, LimeWire was a torrent service, wasn't it?
it was.
Yeah, it wasn't through LimeWire, I think. It was something else, but he just had... Of course, none of the names matched up with anything, and you put the data CD and all the titles of the songs were symbols, so I don't even remember where half of the things are from. Yeah. I'll just watch... I'll be listening to, like, an anime radio, and I'll hear one of the songs, and I'll just be like, this was from D. I remember this.
This was from D.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like all the series I remember most fondly are all like super niche though. I feel like if I bring up the names, people might recognize like one or two of them, but then it's like the rest is like so small that like I don't even know if people recognize them. Like probably the one people would recognize would be Black Cat.
Oh, I know Black Cat, yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, you know Black Cat. The one that came before To Love Ru.
Yes.
But if I said something like My Messiah. Do you know My Messiah?
I didn't know. No.
Watashi no Messiah-sama.
Nope.
It's done by the same author that does Heaven's Lost Property, but it's like...
How's Messiah-sama spelled?
Messiah.
Messiah?
Messiah?
Messiah or...
Messiah.
Okay.
Yeah, Messiah.
No, it's not a Z, it's an S.
It's an S.
We're not getting into this. We're not getting into
Yes,
this.
we are! Learn to pronounce things correctly,
Oh
fool!
my goodness,
Okay,
it's
what about
Messiah.
What about Tuxedo
Watashi no
Inn?
Messiah-sama. Okay, I recognize the artwork for this one, but it's not one that I read.
I don't know why I liked it a lot as a kid. Now that I reread it, it's like, oh, okay. But that was the series where really made me like, oh, you're allowed to like villains.
Mm-hmm.
They had like an anti-villain that I really, really liked. But,
Wow, I see the cover for book 6 on Google. I'm looking on my phone right now, and it's just a very sad-looking anime girl, and it looks like her wrists are bound with chains.
Oh.
Book 6? I don't quite remember
The cover of it. I just have it up on Google right now, and she's just kind of bound up with chains.
Yeah, I mean, looking back, it's like, But, what was it? What about Tuxedo Gin? Do you guys know Tuxedo Gin?
No. I've never heard of any of this.
Oh, it's about a guy who...
Gets turned into a penguin!
Yes, that one! Yes!
Yes.
He's like an amateur boxer, high school student, and falls in love with this girl in his high school, but then he gets in like an accident, and God lets him
come back,
be reincarnate as a penguin in the zoo.
Yes.
And I forgot what the deal they struck was, but if he lives the full natural lifespan of a penguin and dies of natural causes, then God will allow him to come back to life as the boxer boy.
Yes. And
so he escapes the zoo and, like, lives as the girl he likes pet for, like, however long it was.
Yeah. The series went for a pretty long time. There's 15 books of it.
Whoa.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah.
I remember borrowing it from, like, the library when I was in, like, grade school. They had, like, an English printed version that I was like, this was one of my first encounters with manga. I was like, oh my god. This penguin punches people. It's so good. Hey, how did we get on this topic? How do we get on the manga topic?
Oh, yeah. Watching Naruto and making soup.
And then going into the realm of reading stuff that your parents didn't know that you were reading, probably.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the first time I had that encounter was with Pokemon Special, the manga.
That was a manga you weren't supposed to read?
Or was it Pokemon Adventures? I don't remember.
Those have explicit things in Pokemon?
Yeah, it was just straight up like a Pokemon manga. It was like drawn for kids and everything. But I very, very vividly remember borrowing the books in grade school, and like on the bus ride back, I was reading it. They had the trainer, I think her name would be Green, because I know Green and Blue's names get switched between localizations. The female trainer, I'm just gonna call her Green, was in a Pokemon battle against Sabrina, the psychic gym leader. And Sabrina was like winning, had the upper hand or whatever, and then had her, I think it was Kadabra. The one with the spoon. The Pokemon with the spoon, Kadabra. It was like, use Paralyze on her or whatever. So the trainer herself got paralyzed and was like stuck, and it was just like, it got kind of dark. She was like threatening to like deal with her or whatever. It's like, like, because she was working with Team Rocket or something like that. And I just remember specifically that Green taunts Sabrina by flaunting her chest and was saying how Sabrina's like flat as a brick.
Wow.
Oh no.
So
that's to be fair, that's pretty
Sabrina
common.
had Kadabra slash at Green with the spoon.
Oh no.
Rips her dress open and her like chest just like is out and about. But like she also had Pokeballs hidden under there. So it's just a girl with like...
Are you sure you weren't reading a doujinshi?
No, this was a manga. This was definitely... I'm gonna find the image right now.
Oh my gosh.
But it was something. You guys continue for a sec. I can't... Pokemon Adventures Green.
I can't believe this. Like, I don't remember like, I remember I got... One of my friends really liked Fooly Cooly.
I've never heard of that.
Fooly Cooly is a quite short, very trippy series. Oh, yep, that's definitely... Yep, I see Kai just shared the image in the chat there.
Let's see.
As an 8-year-old, I'm just like,
no.
This is illegal.
Oh my god.
I can't look at this. Oh no, on a school bus of all things.
On
As
a
an 8-year-old,
school
I remember
bus.
this was the first time I was like, I shouldn't be reading this. This isn't for
Oh
me.
no.
It just looks like she stuffs her shirt with Pokeballs. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
like she's probably equally flat as a board. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
Oh goodness. That's very Japan humor though.
it is.
It's kind of like when I found out living in Japan that Crayon Shin-chan,
Mm-hmm.
it was on Adult Swim.
Right.
I remember the English dub was on Adult Swim. The Japanese version is rated for all ages. It's a family show.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's significant.
he does the
like-
no pants dance a lot. I remember
Yes,
that.
he does. And in Japan, like, there were goods with Shin-chan, and like one of the teachers at the school I worked at was like, "Oh, I love Shin-chan," and I was just like,
Hello?
what? Like, he does the no pants dance. He rubs his face into women's chests.
Yep.
Him and his dad do the no pants dance together at one point. And I was like, and he's like really crass and like smacks his own butt and smacks women's butts and this is your favorite show? And she didn't even like anime that much. Like she didn't know most of the bigger series either. And I was just like, and you like Crayon Shin-chan. Okay.
You gotta think about that one,
Oh.
Chief.
Man, I was looking up old Pokemon manga. I'm gonna mark this image as a spoiler just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case. This was from another Pokemon manga that starred I think Clefairy. It is an image.
Oh my god.
See?
Oh
Oh my god.
This is a children's manga, by the way.
That kid
no.
looks
Oh
like
my
Goku.
gosh. He says that the Charmander says that he's getting the Master Ball.
Yeah, this is a
Masaboru.
children's manga, by the way.
Oh my gosh. Well, Japan definitely has different standards on what's acceptable for children compared to the Western world here.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait until Kai has to make an Imgur album of these images to link in the description so you guys can see and just make sure that you're not looking in public.
Do I have to?
I mean, context. Wow. 8-year-old Kai.
I'll just say this. If you're curious, search up Pokemon Adventures Green Pokeballs. That's the Google search I did for this.
Wow.
Pokemon Adventures Green Pokeballs. You can look it up yourself if you want.
Well, like, the main things I remember was reading the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I liked watching Yu-Gi-Oh! And then the Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga came out.
Hmm.
Did you ever see season 0 of Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yep. That was the manga when I read it, and I was like, wow, Yugi is a murderer.
I
Wow.
loved it. It was the best. Kaiba has green hair. It is so good. I
I've
love
never seen season 0.
It's
Like,
so-
I started with Yu-Gi-Oh! As the card game. I didn't realize there was a
watch
whole thing.
Kai, when you
before
have
the
some
card
time,
game.
go watch season 0 with Kaiba with green hair and stuff.
It's so
Yugi kills people.
He
I
He's
remember
straight
in
up
the
and
manga.
just-
I remember
he
in the
straight
manga
up kills
they had
people.
like. Didn't they have like all those like other games before the Duel Monsters?
Yes. And then when it got to the Duel Monsters part, that was the one that got a lot of attention for the series, and then they were just like, okay, Yu-Gi-Oh's about card games now. But
so
the
good.
originals start there. Oh my gosh. And when Joey was straight up just a bully to Yugi as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Before they became friends and everything. Like, it's kind of, once you go back and you see like season 0 stuff in the first chapter, the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh makes a lot more sense because they're like, our friendship is very precious and blah blah blah, and you're just like, why
Why
What?
is it precious? But then you see
Why
how,
is-
and you're like, oh.
and then you see like what actually happened. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. But yeah, oh my gosh,
Tuna with chains.
And
Joey Wheeler's the best.
Joey Wheeler, Ace Attorney.
Baby dragon. Time wizard.
I love
God,
that they
his-
went with that accent for him.
His
It's
accent
wonderful.
is so thick.
Brooklyn Rage.
Brooklyn Rage. I remember this song. Russian roulette is not the same without a gun. But since we're dubbed by 4 kids, we must make do without one.
No.
Oh my gosh. I remember that cover. Oh my gosh.
I used
Brooklyn
to sing
Rage.
that a lot, actually.
Yeah, same. My whole friends group, we were
Yes.
highly-
Yes.
And I actually, if you go on YouTube, there's a cover of I'm on a Boat, which is I'm Gary Oak.
Yes.
My
Oh.
friend actually wrote that song.
Oh.
Like IRL friend. Like
Oh.
one
wow.
of my very good friends wrote that song.
I'm
And then when he
Gary Oak.
revealed that, we were just like, "What?"
That's so cool.
Oh, good old times. Good times. Good times.
It is kind of nice to think about. It's a tumultuous time for emotions and like growing up, but it's like what a good time to get into anime. Like
Right?
the
Right?
interests
Oh my
are just
gosh.
all over the spectrum.
Yep.
What a
Yep,
goofy
time.
time. So I'm
Really
sorry, Girl
sad.
DM. Go ahead.
There's
Sorry.
like one Gary Oak meme that I keep referencing, but apparently nobody knows what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a very, very small meme.
What?
I'm just trying to like
Which one?
find out when it was. I think it was like 2011. I think this was a meme from 2011. It was like a screenshot of this chat of, do you know Omegle?
Yes.
The randomized chat room thing where you get paired with someone random.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh man. University student girl DM definitely
Really?
met a lot of strange people on Omegle. Oh yeah, no,
You
me
were
and
using
one of my friends.
You were using
No,
Omegle
so-
in college?
Yeah, when we were in, I was with one of my friends, and she was the one that showed it to me. It was like back before they had. It was brand new. Like
Mm-hmm.
hardly anybody had. It was before it went like super big. One of my friends knew about it, and so on Friday nights, she would come over, and to my apartment dorm room, and we would have dinner together, and then we would consume alcohol, and then we'd go on Omegle.
Yep. So you might be a little bit familiar with what happens on Omegle, but
they had a special filter to identify some video content that shows up.
It is a randomized chat room. You get placed with it matches you up with people completely at random, and there was a screenshot in particular around 2011 where a pair of strangers were paired up. And one of them, it was a boy and a girl, supposedly. That's what they declared. 19M USA, 16F UK or whatever. And the boy proposes that they make a joint collaborative effort to write first-person perspective fan fiction in Pokemon style.
Oh
no. And the girl agreed, saying that she would play the role of Misty while he plays the role of Ash. And then at the end of the screenshot, she's just like, and I rip my mask off, and it's actually Gary O. And he's just like, what? And it's like, you cannot ignore my girth. So around 2011, 2012, there was like this screenshot that went around a lot. It was just like, you cannot ignore Gary Oak's girth, but whenever I reference it, nobody recognizes it. I'm sad.
Well,
Big
now the viewers and listeners in this for this podcast will. And
I hope none of y'all are listening to this at work on non-headphones. I am so sorry. Oh my goodness. Welp.
It's okay, Kai.
Nobody recognizes. I'm sad.
Maybe someone in the chat does.
Yeah.
Maybe you're gonna get some positive responses and just be like, oh my god, I know that one.
I highly doubt.
Who knows?
All right.
Who knows? Who knows?
Should we move on to the second topic now?
My god.
Oh my gosh. So the second
like,
topic, this is an
an
intervention
hour
for
20 in?
Kai. This is an intervention for Kai.
Oh boy. Oh, deserved. Okay. Fair.
Second topic. You know what? I want to talk about what's something that you tend to impulse buy or do. What's like for me it's like gadgets.
Oh.
Like I'll see something for example, I had seen someone had shared a picture of a hand warmer that looked like a little hamster in a space capsule.
Ooh.
And I was like, you know what? I live in Canada. Sometimes my hands get really cold when I'm like walking outside and stuff, and hand warmers are helpful. I like to go snowshoeing with Mom DM sometimes. A hand warmer would be good. And then I actually found the actual product. So I ordered it.
Mm-hmm.
Did I need it? Probably not. But I really like to get gadgets for things. Like Kickstarter is one of my weaknesses, as I've mentioned in the past too, because they tend to have gadgets and stuff. And I have a Fitbit too, just because I like the gadgets and the tech stuff. Like, it's cool to me. Same with one of the things like that made me really interested with doing VTuber stuff was like all the different stuff to make it, like the leap motion to track your hands and the different softwares and stuff. So that is my like, I'll see something, I'll be like, ooh, I want that. It's intriguing. I want that.
I'd like this thing.
That's what I'll tend to do. So do you guys have anything like similar? Like if it's a food thing or a drink thing that each time you're just like, ooh, gotta do it. For me it's gadgets that are interesting or cute.
For me, it's definitely beverages and snackies. And I don't even mean like at the grocery store. But like if we are out and about, or if I like, I have the afternoon and I have no responsibilities, and I just, it's like, oh, it's a day I can like hang out with friends. What I want to do is, like, let's go get a coffee. Let's go get boba. Let's go to this place and like get some dessert. Like I'm all about like going to places and getting consumable items. Like I said, that's not a grocery store or anything like that, but like something that's like specially made in that store. So like there's this bubble tea place that was not too far from the college I went to. And it was like for many years, many years, the only place that you could go to get boba was a college town that was like hours away. And there was just nothing locally, not even anything like half an hour away, which would have been moderately worth it, but like no, you had to drive for like an hour and a half to 2 hours just to get some boba. So when this place popped up, which was only like 15 minutes away from our college, it was like a pretty big deal. So we would go like once or twice a week, and like the big thing was like get boba. They also did macarons and takoyaki.
Ooh.
Oh, what a mix.
Yes. And so that was sort of like our big thing. So I'm a huge fan of like going out to get coffee, going out, you know, to get lattes or specialty drinks, boba, snackies, and that's my impulse. That's my impulse buy.
Nice.
In a lot of other ways, I'm very cautious with Muns. Like I need a new vacuum cleaner, but I really just want to go get boba. So
I love boba.
Yeah. We'll go for boba one day.
There's a new boba. There's a new boba that just opened near me that I can get to pretty easily now.
Yeah.
And I want to go through. I want to try their entire menu.
There are a lot of places like in the last like 3 to 4 years alone. Like basically ever since I graduated college, it's like boba places have just cropped up like dandelions. They're just everywhere now. So it's really exciting. But now that's, you know, it's giving me more places to spend my money, and it's very dangerous. So.
It is very dangerous.
Understandable.
I feel like bubble tea is currently becoming what frozen yogurt was.
Yeah.
Remember when there were like all the froyo places all over?
Yes.
I think bubble tea's happening, which I'm completely fine with that because I love bubble tea.
Yes.
Yeah, I've never really had a big craze for frozen yogurt like I have with bubble tea.
Not me personally, but like I grew up with homemade boba, and it was always hot. Like a hot drink.
Yeah.
That's how I've always had it. But it wasn't actually. So Mom Renee maybe made homemade boba. Like I don't know. I could probably count the times she's made homemade boba like on one hand. However, Mama Ouija makes some killer boba.
Really?
Killer boba.
I want it.
So I grew up with Mama Ouija's boba, and that was the stuff. She's good. So Ouija can confirm.
Well, it is his mom's.
Yes.
Can confirm. She only made it for you, Harune. She only made it for you.
Duh. She liked me more, and I'm kidding.
I mean, I can see that.
Nah. Nah. Ouija has a special place in her heart.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you my experience of having Ouija in our 3-person RimWorld group was me being, Ouija, get your mouse out of my base. Stop clicking my stuff. Get out of my base right now. And Ouija going, okay.
No, it's good. Tell him not to do things. Tell him no sometimes.
Oh, and then there was another time when my base got invaded, and he was like, you should have done this instead. And I was like, yeah, you know what? If you would have told me about doing that before I got invaded, that would be the time to give me the criticism. Right now, get out of my base. Go look at yours. I will deal with this.
Doesn't help.
Do not help me.
Well, I mean, the worst
Sometimes
thing
I feel like I need to talk to Ouija the same way you talk to Cable. when he plays shooter games with anyone. It's just like, hey, some people aren't at your level. How about we dumb it down for them? They just always assume.
Ouija's just, his brain is god tier. Like, he just lives on another universe.
Well, when I had a discussion with some of my friends about what people's intent are behind playing games, because I know a lot of people. I play competitive games. I like to play Overwatch and like League of Legends and stuff. And you get some people that get insanely angry when somebody else misplays. And that's because their intent behind playing the game is to do the best that they can, to excel in everything, right? And a lot of people that game like that, they don't have the understanding that some people just want to play the game because they want to do something specific that they find fun. Like, are you playing just for enjoyment? Or are you playing because you're wanting to excel and demonstrate that your skill is better?
Right.
And when you have two people playing on the team, that you have one person that just is like, I want to see if I can do this thing. And then you have the person that's like, I want to excel at everything. There's going to be a clash there.
Right, because there's no room for experimentation if you're trying to be the best.
Yes, because you're already like, no, there's a set method. There is a reasoning behind why you're going to do this into this. Why are you doing that? And that makes the other person frustrated because they're like, leave me alone. I'm playing the game that I want to play.
Right.
So you have that kind of clash. And then when you have friends that are those different types, then it can also cause a clash in the friendship group because one person is wanting to be sweaty. And it's fun to be a sweaty gamer. Like when you're in a group that's just, you're all sweaty. Oh my gosh, it is so much fun. But it's also something that you have to remember because I used to play Overwatch with my parents. And my parents were the very definition of they are wanting to experiment playing the game and learn. And they want to learn by doing and enjoying it the way that they get enjoyment from playing the game. And if you're playing together with people, you should aim more towards that enjoyment because that's what it's a game. That should be the baseline for it. It should be you're enjoying it.
No, yeah, I had the exact same thing when I started doing Savage rating in Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, it was the first time I was in an environment where everyone on the team was trying to be sweaty together. We were like, oh, we gotta optimize our damage. We gotta get the boss before enrage, da-da-da-da. And then as soon as I got out of that and started playing with, like, my regular friends again, I realized I was starting to be really analytical of all the little mistakes they made that were, like, not optimal. Like, I mean, it's good enough for the content they were doing. They were not doing endgame stuff. They were just doing, like, the geared for everyone content. And it's like, you don't need to optimize your rotation. You don't need an opener.
Yeah, you don't need to be sweaty at that point in time.
And I'm just like, why would you push that button when you could be pushing this one?
Why did you do this skill instead of this one? Blah, blah, blah. But that's not what's occurring to them. What's occurring to them is they're wanting to enjoy the content like, wow, and where they're at.
We're running dungeon together with people. It's fun. And I'm just like, I had to bite my tongue super hard for a while.
Yeah.
And
well, you have to go in with what your expectation is.
It took a bit of time for me to get back accustomed to the not rating scene, so I understand completely what you mean.
Yeah. Well, for me, like, when it comes to sweaty gaming, because I like to do sweating gaming, and when I was playing World of Warcraft, I was playing with Ouija as part of the group, and Ouija and Hikaru used to do a whole bunch of rating in WoW, and they did Mythic rating, which is, like, the higher tier, more competitive. There's a timer on it. You need to optimize what you're doing. You need to have the proper pulls. You need to use your buffs at specific times and stuff. And I hadn't done that before, and they were wanting me to play with them. And so I was like, okay, you guys just had me remap my entire keybind set. I am playing a new class that I have never played before. You guys are not allowed to tell me that I am misplaying until 2 weeks have passed. Then you can start giving me critiques on stuff, but I need to get used to this character class. I need to get used to my keybinds. I need to get used to my movement. If I accidentally run into the boss and die, you will not say a word. If you say a word, I will not play with you, because you need to understand this is brand new to me. I'll do better when I'm used to it. And they were like, okay.
This is bringing up some really bitter memories of Ultimate.
Oh.
I mained Samurai for all of Savage, and then they had me switch to Dancer for Ultimate, and I'm like, what is this? Range DPS, disgusting.
Yeah, that's one thing I've learned from one, because I was on a team when I played Overwatch. I played competitive with like a team and stuff, and there was like moving around between things. We had coaching and things, and one of the things I've always been very strict about is I will straight up state what my intent is behind the thing and what type of critique I'm okay with. Because I'm fine with getting critique. If I'm wanting to improve stuff, oh yeah, go ahead, give me critique. If I'm still learning how to move stuff around and what buttons I need to press, I do not have the mental capacity to optimize everything, because I'm still learning all the other stuff. Let me learn the other stuff first, and then we can go into optimization. Then I will be more than happy to learn about optimization.
No, yeah, I get it completely. I'm hoping we're not losing Harune, though, because I do know Harune is not really a competitive type gamer.
Well, no, but it does apply.
She enjoys Breath of the Wild. A lot.
Well, I mean, it does apply, and it, the idea with like you got to get used to like basic controls first, before you can even start to like finesse timing and finesse strategy and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's step by step. It'd be the same thing as if like I yelled at a student for not using the correct dynamics when they haven't even learned how to read the notes yet.
Exactly.
It just doesn't make any sense.
That.
So I get it completely. You haven't lost me at all. It's fine.
That's
I get the gist. Wait, so Kai, what's your impulse buy?
Kai impulse buy.
To sum it up, I would say it's art-related things. I'm trying to think, because like I always see people have like all this like anime merch. They get like T-shirts, they get like the figurines, they get the this and that. I'm very cautious when it comes to spending large amounts of money, and by that I mean like anything more than $60. I'm already like, do I really need it though?
I know that
like,
feeling.
That's just my personality type. And so during my biggest anime phase, or like when I was like most crazy, most into it, most otaku-ish in high school, I did not have a part-time job in high school. I didn't start working until university. So I didn't have my own income. All the money I had was from like Chinese New Year Red Pockets, or it's like my parents' money. So I could not justify getting myself anything really, really big. I cannot justify getting myself any figurines, box sets, DVDs, like anything that was more than like $50. I can't do it. What was it? And I do not have a good impression of some people I've known in the past that just wear like blatant anime t-shirts without a care in the world. I'm sure not everyone's like this, but the people I knew who did wear it were obnoxiously like disregarding social standards to like flaunt their otakuism. Like
it telegraphs
they were proud
a
of
lot
the fact that they had a stench.
Oh, one of my friends like to say, suppress your power level to people that were like that.
They fully embraced all the negative stereotypes about like otakus and weebs and stuff. They're just like super proud of the fact that they're out of shape and they don't take care of their hygiene and etc. etc. So I personally choose not to wear anime merch as wearables if it's immediately obvious that it's anime merch. If it's like little symbols, if it's like little like insignias, like I don't mind, but if it's like a full anime character on a t-shirt, I would not choose to wear it. So what I did end up doing was get a lot of art books and posters, especially like in artist alleys. Every year when I go to anime conventions, the artist alley is where I spend the most time. I really like seeing everyone's different interpretations of like a series, different interpretations of a character, and this and that. And in my head, it was easier to justify because a poster was like maybe $12, $15. So with my $200 budget at Artist Alley, instead of like getting 2 figurines, I could come back with like 12 posters.
Fair.
So in my house right now, I've got stacks upon stacks upon stacks of posters. I've got enough art books to fill a bookshelf and several boxes that I just keep around the room. I've got little like postcards, I've got little keychains, I've got buttons. I went to a booth once and they were displaying buttons from a series, and I just said I'll buy them all.
Oh my god.
Nice.
I left that booth with 48 buttons.
Jesus!
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Was it
Like,
a fate? Was it a fate stand? Were they fate?
No,
buttons?
it was.
What were
it
the
was-
characters?
It was from a Kantai collection.
Ah, ship girls.
Ship girls. Yeah, and that was actually I became friends with that artist. Probably like they gave me a discount and everything. It was hey, it's you. I was like, I will take them all. And
Give me your stock.
one that I wanted the most was out of stock, so it took them like 3 years to finally make another pin for me. But anyways, I'm also like, because I've gotten the privilege to get to know a lot of artists, with art being a hobby, I absolutely love it when people draw something for me. Like, my greatest
Me
treasures
too.
right now are like, I got a Christmas card where somebody drew one of my favorite characters
Aww.
a couple years ago, and it's still like framed on my shelf right now. I've got little folders on my computer saving every piece of art people have ever drawn for me. I've got a little stack of postcards, people drawing art for me. I've got one of those Japanese signature boards where like a person from Comic-Con actually drew one of my favorite characters for me. Like, I don't know, I absolutely love seeing things I like drawn by other people, especially if it's like for me, the intention behind it. It's just so, even if it's not for me specifically, I do enjoy buying postcards and art in general, but that's my impulse buy. Like, if you're selling art, that would draw my attention a lot more than like gadgets and food and whatnot.
Oh wait, that does remind me, and we forgot to do this before the episode. I feel so bad because it didn't
what?
come to mind until now. But we did get fan art, GHK fan art. Remember over Christmas?
Oh yes, yes
We
we
did,
did,
we
we
did,
did,
we
we
did.
did,
yeah,
we
we
did, we
forgot to
did.
put it on the wall.
No, next time, next episode,
Yes,
next episode will be on the wall.
Yeah, next episode will be on the wall.
Yes, it
But-
was a very, very lovely piece.
Yes, it was amazing. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for the
For-
fan art.
Yes, and I mean, we all got to see it because it was before.
We saw it on
Christ-
Twitter.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, it was
Yes.
before or after Christmas, but it was
it was during the break.
yes. But it made my heart so happy. Like,
Our first piece of fan art is GHK.
yeah,
Was it?
and
I believe it was.
it is. Yes.
And I've even got the name of the artist here. It was a Christmas themed picture of the three of us sitting around the recording booth by Manamagia? I'm not sure how to pronounce their name exactly. but-
Manamagia?
Manamagia. Let's go with that. Thank you so much.
Thank
It is
you.
a very lovely piece of art. We will put it up on the wall for next episode for sure.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Thank you. And we'll link your Twitter. We'll put a link to the post in the description.
Yes.
So you can check out the post itself, and if anyone wants to, like, I don't know, look you up or something. There's that.
So they can
But
find it.
Yeah, but just kind of, on Kai's topic of just like, the greatest treasures are the art that people draw for you. It made me think of that. Yes. That's very
Yeah.
nice.
That's awesome.
Art is lovely.
Yeah. Like, especially because, like, a lot of people always say, oh, but I'm not an artist, I can't draw and all that, blah, 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 blah. Like, if you've put even a minute's worth of effort into it, I already appreciate that. Like, you don't have to be, you don't have to paint me a Van Gogh or anything like that. Like,
Yeah.
somebody took the time thinking about me and drawing this for me. Like, that's what I really, really appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm not saying draw art for me, but if you want to butter me up, draw art for me. That's an almost
Pretty much.
surefire way.
Here, let me let you in on a little bit of something. One of my friends was like, other than like, do you really like streaming? And I was like, streaming is just like, it's something that pretty much, like, I like to watch people draw and I like to watch people play games and stuff, so it just kind of made sense to me that if I'm already doing it, why not share it? But as far as like VTuber and character design goes, like, one of my major things is like, I just want fan art.
I know.
I just want fan art. Skeb is there. Like, oh my gosh! Even before I did VTuber stuff, like I have a whole bunch of original characters I designed. Like I have 2 or 3 comic series that like I fleshed out the designs and stuff for 2 series, and then I had one that I actually drew a comic for a while. And I commissioned so much art of my own characters from my comics. Like I just want fan art.
Well, no, and you love to see it. Like, you love to see the characters that you've created, like, done in someone else's art style, especially if it's from an artist that you really, really love. Like, the style you're really into. Then you're just like, oh my god, yes.
Yes. You just see it and you're just like, oh, this is gorgeous. I love it.
Yes.
Like, even if just, like, getting random fan art from people that are just like, hey, I really like your characters a lot. And you're just like,
and you just like, oh my god.
I've never heard anything more wonderful. Thank you.
I know, right?
Right?
I had to open my fan art folder to find Manamagia's name, and now I'm just like, I can't stop looking at it. That's why I keep looking on this side.
Right. Like I have all the artwork that I've received from people, like even doodles and stuff, saved into various folders that have their name on it, so I can remember who did it and everything.
Oh, that's so good.
That's how I got their name. I was like,
Yes.
it's okay. This was GHK Christmas from Manamagia.
Nice.
Oh, I've got a bunch of all the little doodles you did of me too. I keep them here.
Aw.
The Viking funeral one from like half a year ago.
Oh my gosh.
Where you put me on a ship and then set it on fire. I still have that.
Wait, can I see that?
Oh yeah, sure. It's like a little Twitter doodle she drew of me.
I care not. Show it to me now.
I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it.
Oh yes. I drew that on a post-it note at work.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love the little. I have a bit of a bias towards like the kind of sketchy, unfinished look, kind of like the rough, like I did it on the fly look.
Yes.
So I adore.
I've been working from home, so I don't have my post-it notes anymore. So there's a distinct lack of Girl DM doodles. I did a lot more of them when I was still in the office.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I appreciate all styles. Anyone can do whatever they want, and I'd still appreciate it. But I adore your little doodles. I've got all of the ones you drew me, like, saved.
Aww.
The chipmunk one from when I got my, like, root canal. The one where you put me in a bowl of soup for some reason. I can't remember why.
Delicioso.
He's a yummy soup.
Soup. I got soup.
Purple Eyes WTF I just love his humor. That is so good. Anyway, sorry. Totally unrelated.
And now I believe it's time for Harune's topic.
Harune topic.
Well, my topic in comparison to all of our other ones is totally unrelated to like anything.
I mean, we had
that's good too.
We had cooking and we had
we went on tangents today. Hello, class. Instead of parallel lines today, we went on tangents.
Very, very much so. That is the theme of today's episode. In fact, the title might even be called Tangents. New Year Tangents.
New Year's Tangents.
I like it. Remind me, and I'll make that the title later.
Well, you know what? I'll type it up right now so we don't struggle with this later.
Good. New Year's Tangents. But so with the new year, often like with the start of the new year, always is the start of some what's the word I'm looking for? Not inconsistencies, because that's not it at all, but some hesitations towards what to expect in the coming year. For a lot of people, the end of one year is very anticipated, right? Very highly looked forward to, especially this past year. But the start of a new year for many can be a source of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not. But that causes some people to sort of put themselves at ease.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They look for ways to get answers about the future.
Okay.
And today we're going to be talking about one form of divination, more or less.
I feel like I know where this is going, but all right.
We're going to be talking about the Ouija board.
That was not where I thought it was going, but all right.
The Ouija board? The
Luigi board. The Luigi board. The Luigi board. Now, personally,
the Luigi board.
I would never mess with a Ouija board. I am disgusted that I see it sold in stores as a toy. I don't think it's a game. I think it's in some ways, whether you believe in it or not, I think it. I don't know. I just think you don't mess with that stuff. I'm not. To quote The Office, I'm not superstitious. I'm a little stitious.
Stitious.
You know whether I truly believe in it or not, and I don't know where I stand, to be honest. But you don't. I just wouldn't mess with a Ouija board. You could not get me to like even in even in Phasmophobia, I don't want to touch a Ouija board.
Okay.
Okay. It's just goofy. Do you two believe in those sorts of things, whether it be seances, Ouija boards, tarot cards, any form of fortune telling, tea leaf reading? What catches your fancy?
I mean, if it'll give me a piece of paper that's got like cool designs on it, I'll buy it, but I don't really. Not at all.
Not at all?
Not at all. Like, I went to, let's see, year before last, I took a trip to Philadelphia, and I went to the prison there, because you can take tours of it, and it's like falling apart and everything, and Al Capone got death sentence there and stuff. Like, you can go to the near the cells where people were held on death row and stuff, and like all the places that would be super haunted or spoopy and stuff. Like, I probably wouldn't have any issues staying overnight.
Wow. Good for you. You strong.
Like,
Kai?
Video games scare me when it's the ghosts, but as far as like IRL stuff, I'm fine.
Kai, what about you?
I can't really say I put much faith into different forms of divination or anything, too.
Palm reading.
Like, I almost said Luigi board.
Luigi board.
Tarot reading, like reading tea leaves, reading stars, horoscopes, and stuff. Like, it's all. I hope my opinion's not too controversial discussing this, but it's like,
give us the hot take.
Like a lot of it is like they speak in very general terms, so that it's like, yeah, this does apply to me in a very broad sense. But when people start thinking, yes, this applies to me, that's how they start believing, and then it becomes not so much a not a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's more like a what's that other placebo. It's like a placebo. It's like they get it in their heads that there's some other reason at work rather than just statistical probability, so that when it happens they just kind of like, oh, they can pin it on that reason without thinking about it too much more, kind of thing. In that vein, I kind of have one foot in the faith, I guess. I kind of would not deny if someone told me that Lady Luck was real, that some will of the world or something kind of like has some influence here or there, that like, I would not say it's solely responsible for every outcome, but it's like sometimes things might just happen because of a whim.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I can see on
that. Like a sort of karma.
Something like that. And it'd be like on very, it could, like, mostly I think of it on like very small inconsequential things kind of thing, like the result of a coin flip or something like that. Or it's like if someone dropped a bucket of paint while hanging from a pie and not a drop lands on you kind of thing. It's like, oh, that's just the whims of the world kind of thing.
That was just the turn of the spheres.
Right. Something out there decided that I'm not getting dirty today. My hand just shot up for some reason. It's
the whims. The whims are here.
Right. 'Cause I
Yeah.
I don't know if this directly relates to your topic, but it's like, with regards to religion, I personally am not a terribly religious person. People are free to believe whatever they wish to believe. That's fine. I'm not denying anyone's religion, but from my perspective, I kind of view it as just kind of like a whimsical lady luck presence.
I definitely think there's kind of there can be influence on things. Like I am religious, but I don't tend to bring it up on stuff too much because everybody's free to live their own thing, right? Right? Everyone's
exactly. This is a personal. This is a personal opinion. I'm not trying to influence how you guys think. You guys can hold whatever beliefs you want, and I'm not denying them. I'm not saying religious is bogus.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying you aren't.
yeah.
I am religious.
I believe in.
Well, it just might be surprising for some people, but I'm pretty religious. But I do believe there's definitely an influence to things. But as far as it goes to like directly contacting spirits of the dead via like a Ouija board or being able to interpret things, I don't really subscribe to it that much. It's fun to think about, but I don't feel like it holds weight on things. But at the same time, I do have friends that are superstitious on things and do believe on things like that. And as long as they're not like making detrimental decisions to their wallets, then I probably won't say anything.
Right. Or like trying to shove it down your throat or be like, you gotta believe in this
if they're saying that they need to go talk to this person multiple times and get them to remove the evil spirits chasing them or something, then I'd probably be like, okay, let's take a little bit of a look at this. But yeah, I'm not. No, I can walk through graveyards at night just fine and stuff, and stand on graves. I've done that.
I do believe in good luck charms, but not one that's sold to you. Like, I believe good luck charms are something that is something you already possess.
Not a whole
like if someone came to me with like a ring and said this is a good luck charm, if you buy the ring, if you buy the rabbit's foot, it will bring you good luck. I do not subscribe to that. But if something really lucky happens to me while I had a particular article on me, I would consider that my lucky charm.
As far as lucky charms go, I think I have things that I have like an emotional attachment to that make me feel more secure when I have them. But I wouldn't say it would be something that I felt like it was lucky just because I had it, but it was more like I feel like I have more confidence because it reminds me of something. Like I have a ring that Mom DM got for me that has the character for love written on it, and it has a lot of personal meaning to me. And so if I'm going out and doing something that I know is going to make me feel stressed or anxious, I'll 100% make sure that I'm wearing that ring because it's kind of like a reminder.
It's your grounding point.
Yeah, it's like I've got this. If anything like goes opposite of what I'm hoping, or if it's like a negative thing that's happening, at least I've still got this is kind of the thing, right? Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So, about the Ouija board. The Luigi board.
Pregnant.
Pregnant. Pragante, yes.
Oh, that's a good video.
Harune.
This is more. So I tried to stay away from like the. So number one, I tried to stay away from a couple of sites when doing my research on this, and my research was very last minute. But I tried to stay away from any paranormal research or paranormal websites, and just from a schooling standpoint, I just wanted to stay away from Wiki, even though I'm sure like it has some, we know Wikipedia's full of knowledge, but for some reason I just wanted to look up a site that wasn't Wikipedia. So, and I was almost hesitant to use this particular article, but the article I'm going to refer to today, I'm going to kind of follow along with, is from the Smithsonian Magazine. It's called The Strange and Mysterious History of the Ouija Board. So already that title makes me think like,
sensationalized. It's sensationalized.
You know what I mean? Like, can we just like talk about it? But I think it's pretty fair. So this article was written in 2013, so it's not a particularly young.
Yeah.
It's not that old, but it's not that young either. So well, first off, so for anyone who does not seem to know what a Ouija board is, it is literally a board, usually made of wood, that has the letters. So it has, I think the top row is numbers, and then it just has the alphabet sort of laid out. So not laid out in the same way as like a keyboard, right? But it's literally A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it just kind of goes through row by row throughout the entire alphabet. And then at the very bottom, I believe it has like, well, yeah, it has a yes and no, and then it has, I think, goodbye. If I understand that correctly. And I know different Ouija boards probably have a different layout, like they're not going to be all laid out the same way. Heck, you could probably make your own Ouija board at home, though I do not recommend it. Don't do it. Don't do it. But the idea is that 2 or more people would put their hands on like a planchette, basically, which is just like this little pointer, and most pointers that they sell along with Ouija boards will have a little
planchette pin that I got from an oddities shop in California. Planchette.
Planchette.
Yeah.
A planchette.
It's got the little.
It's
got the little window and everything, and it magnifies it so you can read what's underneath the little thing. It's a little tiny pin. It's really cute.
It's so cute. Yeah. No, and that's exactly it. So it'd be like 2 or more people would then place like a finger. I mean, if there's like a ton of you, right, and you all have to touch the same little thing, you would just put a finger on. And the idea is that the spirits would use your energy to move the planchette to spell out letters or answers to your, to answer your question. And so you'll, but of course it can be hoaxed, right? So a lot of hoax stories is just that like one person within the group like actually uses, the weight of their finger to push the planchette around. Was it on Asobi Asobase? Or was it on... It was like on one anime. I just remember that happening in particular. Like these 2 girls were fighting over a guy, and so they were playing.
Yeah, I think they were Kokuri-san is the Japanese equivalent, essentially, where you're like. Yep. But that one, you're more. It's not you're summoning someone who's a spirit. You're summoning like a yokai. I think Kokuri-san is usually a kitsune. But the idea of, like, it uses your energy to move the planchette. And so, but they were, like, both, like, fighting against the planchette and, like, just trying to spell out the answer that each girl wanted to hear. So, if you think of that, if you've ever seen that in anime, that's essentially, like, the easiest, most common way to, like, hoax a result in the planchette. But the idea is if done generically, right? And, if people are being really, really genuine with their stories, they're like, oh, well, no one was using any force and it just sort of moved along by itself. So that's a Ouija board. So, going through this particular article, so this was the advertising. I'm going to read it straight from the website. So it says, in February 1891, the first few advertisements started appearing in papers. Ouija, the wonderful talking board, boomed a Pittsburgh toy and novelty shop, describing a magical device that answered questions, quote, about the past, present, and future with marvelous accuracy, end quote, and promised never-failing amusement and recreation for all the classes. A link between the known and unknown, the material and immaterial. So they're just like really, they very much are. But what's funny about so this was the advertisements about this toy, right? And you think like, oh well, they're just even in these advertisements it's full of poop. Like how can they claim that it's that it really works and that it gives you the questions or the answers to the past, present, and future. So, but a little bit further in this article it says, though truth
in advertising is hard to come by, especially in products from the 19th century, the Ouija board was, quote-unquote, interesting and mysterious. It actually had been proven to work at the patent office before its patent was allowed to proceed. And today, even psychologists believe it may offer a link between the known and the unknown. So, like, just reading this through, what I really wanted to do when I was doing, you know, the early research for this was, like, figure out, like, who made it, why was it made, like, if there were any, like, ancient uses of it, like, did it come from something from long ago, like, if you know anything about the history of tarot cards, that was like an ancient like divination tool, right? And it just sort of became like a modern sort of fad, more or less. But the Ouija board, it seems like, was pretty much made as a toy. So it says the Ouija board, in fact, came straight out of the American 19th century obsession with spiritualism, the belief that the dead are able to communicate with the living. So, spiritualism was around, right? Like this idea of being able to communicate with the dead was already sort of a thing in Europe, and it hit America in like 1848, with the rise or whatever of the Fox sisters. So it says the Foxes claimed to receive messages from spirits who rapped on the walls in answer to questions, recreating this feat of channeling in parlors across the state. So they really just, basically what they did is they popularized seances. Like, they made claims that they were like, oh, you know, they were able to ask questions and get real-time responses by asking for sounds and things like that. And for anyone who's sort of looked into spiritual seances of the 19th century, you know that some of them were faked. You know, they could hire someone, or the person who was conducting the seance could tap their foot, or knock underneath the table in response, like, you know, knock once for yes, knock signal. Twice for no. Yes, exactly. And so it'd be easy for them to recreate. Even ghost photos. Like, where you would take portraits, and then the idea was that, like, the portrait would capture the spirit of your dead loved one behind you or sitting next to you or something like that. That was also a thing. But yes, so spiritualism, you know, starting from then sort of kicked off, but it worked for even. So you didn't have to be like a heretic to believe in spiritualism, or even to participate in seances and things like that. So it said it was compatible with Christian dogma, meaning one could hold a seance on Saturday night and have no qualms about going to church the next day. It was an acceptable, even wholesome activity to contact spirits at seances through automatic writing or table-turning parties in which participants would place their hands on a small table and watch it begin to shake and rattle while they all declared that they weren't moving it. Right? The movement also offered solace in an era where the average lifespan was less than 50. Women died in childbirth, children died of disease, and men died in war. Even Mary Todd Lincoln, wife of the venerable president, conducted seances in the White House after their 11-year-old son died of a fever in 1862 during the Civil War. Spiritualism gained adherents in droves. People desperate to connect with loved ones who'd gone away to war, never to come home. So there was a lot of people. So I feel like, and of course, people's level of religion can, you know, you can kind of sit in different areas on the religious spectrum. So there are some people who, you know, are very religious who feel like it's against their beliefs to believe in an afterlife, because this idea of, like, you know, just as an example, like, well, if we're to believe that, you know, all souls go to heaven or hell, how can we believe in ghosts, right? How can we believe in spirits who are communicating with us here on the living world, in the living world, right? That goes against what I believe.
Right.
Whereas some people, you know, may believe that, like, you know, they have passed and I believe in a spirit, and maybe they've been sent down, maybe, you know, they were given permission to talk, you know what I mean? So, like, you can kind of sit anywhere in the religious spectrum, and it seemed like for a lot of people, especially for people who were dying too early, or, you know, taken before their time,
true.
quote unquote, a lot of ways people could die back then. This just, more than anything, I think no matter how much you believed, once you lose someone, you know, it's just really, really hard to move on, and this was just a method of coping, more or less. So Ouija boards really sort of started getting into the scene because faster forms of communication were already being developed, like the telegram.
I think it was probably the telegraph.
Two very different things, but Yes, the telegraph. Yeah, the telegraph had at that point been around for decades. So people were like, why aren't we able to talk to spirits just as fast? Right?
Right.
So there was a company called the Kennard Novelty Company who really just took the idea of the Ouija board and ran with it as a thing to sell and to profit from. So I'm going to read you this little thing here. So it says, in 1886, the fledgling Associated Press reported on a new phenomenon taking over the spiritualists' camps in Ohio, the talking board. It was, for all intents and purposes, a Ouija board, with letters and numbers and a planchette-like device to point to them. The article went far and wide, but it was Charles Kennard of Baltimore, Maryland, who acted on it. So this is from the Kennard, this is the start of the Kennard Novelty Company. So in 1890, he pulled together a group of 4 other investors to start the Kennard Novelty Company to exclusively make and market these new talking boards. None of the men were spiritualists, but they were all of them keen businessmen, and they'd identified a niche. And so that's really where it started to take off. I'm not going to linger on too long about its creation, but just a couple more like tidbit things that, you know, might make this story a little bit more interesting. The name Ouija. So if you go to spell it, it's Ouija, which I always thought might have been Native American. But I really didn't know. I just really heckin' guessed. But I guess a lot of people thought, so it says, contrary to the popular belief, Ouija is not a combination of the French for yes, oui, and the German, J-A, or, but wouldn't J-A be ya?
Yeah. Let me get the Ouija board.
Ouija, which no one calls it that.
Ouija.
So, I don't know.
Ouija.
I've never heard it called Ouija, but whatever. But it says, Munch says, based on his research, so this a lot of the details that we know in this particular article is from a Ouija board researcher, because there was so little that was known about it. So this guy was like, for such an iconic thing that strikes both fear and wonder in American culture, how can no one know where it came from? This guy, Robert Munch. Oh, I'm sorry, not Munch, Murch. I can't read. So Robert Murch. So Murch says, based on his research, it was one of the investors' sister-in-law, her name is Helen Peters, who supplied the now instantly recognizable handle. Sitting around the table, they asked the board what they should call it. The name Ouija came through, and when they asked what it meant, the board replied, good luck. Eerie and cryptic, but for the fact that Peters acknowledged that she was wearing a locket bearing the picture of a woman, the name Ouija above her head. That's the story that emerged from the Ouija's founder's letters. It's possible that it was just a misspelling of a name or whatever, but maybe Helen Peters was just inspired by the name of this lady. Maybe it was a misspelling. Who knows? But that's the story that they stuck with.
Yeah.
And it's an entertaining one, right? What does it mean? Good luck. So yeah, that's as for what the pronunciation is. I don't know. Like, who decided?
It's Ouija.
That, like, yes, it's
Ouija.
spelled this, but it's pronounced this.
Luigi board.
Luigi.
Luigi board?
The Luigi board. The Luigi. But yeah, so obviously it was a massive hit. And remember how I mentioned earlier that it had been proven at the patent office to work?
Right.
So what they did was they didn't. Okay, wait, hang on. Let me find it. I just want to make sure I get the story right. Okay. Yes. Okay, so the story was they brought this sort of, what's the word for it? Prototype. They brought this prototype into the patent office in Washington. And the chief patent officer demanded a demonstration. If the board could accurately spell out his name, which was supposed to be unknown to the men there, they'd be allowed to patent the application to proceed, right? So they sat down and they did their thing. They all put their hands on the planchette. They asked the spirits to join them, and they asked to spell patent officer's name. And the planchette did. So it says whether or not it was mystical spirits or the fact that Bond, one of the men there, at the patent attorney may have just known the man's name. Well, that's unclear, Murch says. But on February 10th, 1891, a white-faced and visibly shaken patent officer awarded Bond a patent for his new toy or game. Like, it's in quotes, so I guess the guy was like, we don't know what to call it. Just, here's your toy or game or whatever. But, like, they spooked the patent officer into giving the rights to just be like, go right ahead with this. So, I mean, and it's, once again, that's the story that they stuck with. So it's not really like, if it's down on paper somewhere that's, one of these men just, like, cheated their way through this, it hasn't been found. But that's the story that's been recorded, and that's the ones that, we're able to refer to today. So we have, like, a cryptic sort of seance, more or less, a little Ouija board session for its namesake. And for its ability to be a published toy, a published game. And so it has circulated ever since. It never really lost its fervor. And now it is used as more than just a game to a lot of ghost hunters and things like that. But that's the Ouija board. And as I was looking just as like one more thing, so this one, I wanted to use this one first because it was from, it says, what does it say? brown.edu. So it's like, okay, so this seems like a trustworthy site. It says history of the Ouija board, and it's like in the tiniest font possible, like font size like 10. And it's not even a full paragraph. It's so tiny. So it says, so much for the history of the Ouija board. So it says the exact origin of the Ouija board is unknown. Objects similar to the Ouija board date back as far as 551 BC to ancient China, where spirit boards were commonplace items used to communicate with the dead. It's funny that they don't mention that in the other article that I had read. It is claimed that Pythagoras used talking boards to enhance his studies and, quote-unquote, unearth revelations from the unseen world. Talking boards also have connections to ancient Rome, where two people used the Ouija board to predict the successor to the king. They were tried for treason and eventually hung.
Oh
my
goodness.
The claimed successor was immediately executed. So there's that. So it does, at least according to that article, it seems like that there was a more ancient origin to the Ouija board. But based on that Smithsonian article that I read,
the board game itself.
I think it took a more objective approach as to like the board game itself.
So Kokuri-san actually came out as a popular thing in Japan during the Meiji period, after seances started becoming popular in the Western world.
Huh. Okay.
Yes, it's an adaptation that like
so
matched more
it's just
closely
another
to what
sort
was
of
instead of
seance
talking to
adaptation.
spirits,
Yes.
yokai, because Kokuri is like composed of the characters for Kitsune and Tengu and a couple, and Tanuki as well as one of the other characters that's in it. So, interesting.
Okay.
I don't exactly know if it's similar, but I have seen some videos of Chinese people. They use this board that had a bunch of it almost looks like constellations on it.
Huh?
And they were doing some sort of reading with it. I don't exactly know what they were doing, but they had a stick in one hand and they were tapping on the board in like set patterns, not quite Morse code, but they were tapping on the board. It was just like a stone slab with these etchings of like constellations. They were tapping with one hand, and the other hand was kind of like tracing patterns on the board. And in the video, they kind of described it as, oh, it's kind of like a very ancient computer. I don't know what that means.
What?
But they were using it to kind of determine where chi was blocked in a patient's body. They were using it in like a medical sense. So I don't really know what that was meant to do. I think they used the term calculator or like compass or something like that. One C word that was like, that's how they described the tool. But just by watching them, it looked like they were tapping a stick against a stone slab and like tracing patterns with their finger. I didn't understand what they were doing at all, but they were like, yeah, this is how we can get an accurate reading of why you're not feeling good, they said to the patient.
That is so interesting. And like, if you think about it, like if you logically think about it, communicating with the dead does not sound like a modern thing. Like, you know, cultures, I'm sure, always referred back to their ancestry for either advice, for guidance, you know, things like that. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if, you know, communicating with the spirits, even if it was just for solace, even if it, you know, had no gain from it in terms of, like, politics or wealth or true fortune telling, but just I don't know. It just seems hard for me to believe that in ancient culture of any kind that there wouldn't have been some form of spiritual communication.
Yeah.
Or, you know, that it wasn't at least slightly believed in at some point, you know? So really, I think Ouija boards was just another thing to develop from that. And once again, especially during the time in the States where holding seances was sort of the big thing, and spiritualism
Everybody
was
break
like
out the Ouija board.
a Saturday night
contact
activity,
Grandpa.
right? It wasn't going out to the movies and going to dinner. Someone, basically, it would be like, you know, like I imagine girls at a slumber party probably just being like, you know, instead of painting nails and talking about boys, let's go, you know, do some Ouija board stuff. You
Women,
know, like
you should have painted your nails instead of contacting the dead. Now your house is possessed.
But you know, I see it. I see it. Exactly.
I don't know why. I'm just picturing the person that patented the magic 8 ball.
I've done
going up to the patent officer, shaking it, and their name comes
to that in the past with people, because I like to play pranks on people. No, like meeting a person that I hadn't met before, but I
so you've like moved the planchette
and some information about them. So I kind of tricked them into thinking we had already met before. Just because it was funny.
Oh.
So, like, I can see... Yeah, I kind of a little bit.
DM has a different sense of humor.
Now I'm a lot better at rationalizing, being like, would this be a bad idea to do? Yes, but when I was, like, in high school and stuff, oh, no. It was how long would it take them to realize, and will they?
But would it be funny?
At all, essentially.
Also,
so,
yes.
like just going up and them being like, "Hey," and just me being like, "Oh, hey James, how's it going? How did the math class test go with such and such? I knew you were working on that," and having the person just being like, I know this person," and then just like playing along with that.
What the heck?
Just as like an inside prank, because like you just get information from somebody else that knows them, and then you work off of that and see how long it takes, right? So I don't do that anymore. I don't do that anymore. That was like back in middle school instead of high school.
Damn.
I did not have the additional foresight to realize that the other person might have a little bit of a mental crisis when that happens. Don't do that anymore. Yep, I'm a lot better at that now. I don't do that anymore.
Please respect everyone's mental
I could have
frailty.
been a spy.
Yay! Big parties.
Yep.
You could have.
Yup.
But yeah.
Thrown together
that's just
topic.
like
The Luigi board.
the
But yeah,
very
it's pretty
thrown-
good.
Last minute thrown together history of the Ouija board. Yeah. The
We
Luigi
certainly
board.
get topics of all flavors here. That was interesting, though.
The Ouija board, instead of listing off letters of the alphabet, it just has various anime protagonists.
The Ouija board.
oh, Otaku spirit. Which world were you isekai to?
Which waifu?
Nice.
Oh boy.
But yeah.
It might get
Thanks.
to that point.
I've got my topic. I've got my topic for next week now. Thanks.
Nope. I'm gonna go and
But
start
yeah,
making food.
any
I gotta
last
start making
minute
some food.
things to add?
So, gonna cook some stuff.
Ooh, yeah.
It's
Sounds good.
I can feel a very ominous presence outside of.
I definitely
outside
Mom
of the
DM
room.
definitely
Oh, it's
came in
Din
and there
time.
might be like a small
Din
clip of
Din's
her
been ready
'cause
for
I
a bit.
think my
Yeah.
microphone picked her up
Okay.
talking. We'll
All right,
see.
then we.
But I just really quickly did the hand cut motion, and then she was like, "Oh no," and backed up. So yeah, I need to go and get some food put together.
No, yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
This'll end
I was
soon, I
texting Mama
swear.
Kai too. I was just like, I'll be down shortly. I'll be down shortly.
Don't be mad, Mama Kai. But thank you all then so
Yep,
much for joining us today for this, first podcast
Oh, yes, it was.
episode
It
of
was
the
the
new
tangent episode.
year. Yay!
Yeah.
It
Just
really
go
was
for a
an
bit.
episode of tangents. Just a
I love these
shorty.
the most. It's so much fun. Just like
Yeah.
having the planned topics is nice, but I quite enjoy these unplanned topics too.
Yeah. I think it's fun. I mean, because that's a genuine conversation, right? You flip
We
from
had a
topic to topic,
conversation.
and it just all sort of connects in
have a
some
conversation.
strange, incoherent, but oddly
Wow,
possible way.
crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, it's like
conversation.
we're all friends who enjoy talking to each other or something.
Crazy.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, yeah. So remind me, Kai, we will put
Ooh.
that fan art up
Yes.
on our wall for you guys to see that in the next episode.
Yes. Keep
And,
it
I'll
up
get the
there
tape.
so it doesn't fall down.
Yeah.
mid,
We'll get
talk.
the tape or
That'd
the
be
tacks or
awkward.
whatever we need to do to keep it secure. Yeah. Yeah. That would
Kai
be,
wants
that'd
to be the
fine.
one that cleans it
Elmer's
up later.
glue.
Don't worry
No.
about it, Harune. Kai
I'm
will
not
clean
gluing
it.
it to the wall.
Kai will clean it.
Elmer's glue.
Kai will
We're
clean
gonna Elmer's
it.
glue
He's
you
good
to the
at
wall.
Cleaning up. Yeah.
I will clean. Yay.
Bye bye. See you next time.
Alright, well, それでは皆さん、またね。バイバイ。
Bye bye.